What are you going to do with those pies, boys?
Hello, cadets. This is the Big Monster Briefing Room. I'm General Lemuel Howitzer, retired. And with me here is my able-bodied assistant, Major Milliehazzard.
Why, thank you, General. You know, these tech gremlins are a major pain in the tuchus, as we say up here. We call it a pain in the tuck. It's a pain in the tuchus. It's a lot of tuchus pain. It's a lot of tuchus ouchies. There's just a lot of tuchus stuff. But I think it's going to work. At least we'll be able to see the beautiful side. I know that...
You're talking about heinies, right? Heinies?
Well, heinies, fannies, you know, they have
butts,
fanny packs.
Fannies, yeah.
They should have some...
Why do they call it a fanny pack? Most people wear it in the front.
You know, they wear it in the front, but I think that some people used to, back in the day, if you had a big badonkadonk, they used to call them.
They should call it a kidney pack. Yeah, they wear it around. You should wear it around there. You know.
Well, that's better than a kidney stone, which I could tell you is not fun. I mean, I haven't had one.
Oh, I know it.
You know, I don't want
as much
that.
Peach tea as I drink.
Well, that's a lovely mug, General. Could you talk a little bit about your peach tree mug? It looks beautiful. I love
it. It's not a peach tree. It's not. It's a decapitated gnome. I got it from Ms. Diane Marie Coll, who does the theme song for this show. It was a gift, and I fill it with my peach tea, and it was apropos for today because we're talking about a giant statue that comes to life, which is kind of like a gnome if you think about it. Okay, I'm reaching.
Gnome-esque. It's gnome-esque.
He's like a golem. Der Golem. Remember that movie? We haven't done that one yet. We should.
Yes. You know, we also should be doing Hands of Fate. Manos, the Hands of Fate. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
You keep asking for that one. And,
we need to do Manos, although in Manos, I think it wasn't a big monster. It was more of a small, diminutive monster. There was, I forget the name of him, but there was a little actor who portrayed a very little, weird gnome-looking thing. But anyways, I digress.
I steer away from it because they did so much material on that on Mystery Science Theater, and I don't want people to compare us to Mystery Science Theater because we do our own thing, and they did their thing, and we try not to step on toes.
They did a little bit. It was a bit much, as we say it. It was a bit much.
There was a character with a beard that used to come in all the time, and it was kind of weird. Anyway, I haven't seen the film.
You haven't seen it? You never saw Manos?
I have not seen Manos yet. I haven't seen the training film. No, not yet.
Okay. I wanted to.
I've been so busy strapping together these movies. It's a trilogy today. It's very ambitious of me. We're going to go through 3 movies in one timeline.
It's very.
And the reason is
you're operating on very little sleep. So between the peach tea and the decapitated gnome, and then there might be some weird.
I'm glad to know I'm not the only one that does that.
I want the cadets to just be aware that this might be an interesting broadcast. We got the badonkadonk tech gremlins operating on my end. We have no sleep operating with the gnomes end. It's a thing.
It's a thing. So, these movies, they shot them before there was Twilight, before there was Harry Potter. They decided to shoot all these movies in 1 year. All 3 of them, and the basic plot line is exactly the same in all 3 movies. It's like some warlords take over an area and they make life miserable for the people that live in that area. Eventually, they do so much bad stuff to these people that they pray to their god DaiMajin, and he releases himself, and he's like a god of revenge. So, I mean, once you get him started, he's a bad MFer. I'm telling you right now, and it's hard to stop him. So, but usually you can do it with a maiden's tears or that nature. But we'll talk about that when we go to the timeline. Let's go ahead and start that timeline because we got to get through this thing in 50 minutes. Come on.
Okay, that's true. But I just wanted to remind everyone that if they missed Tuesday's broadcast, we had Zandor Vorkov. Is that how we pronounce his name? Zandor?
Yep. Zandor Vorkov is a phenomenal show.
It was phenomenal, and he's going up. He wants people to vote. So if you go to his website, you can vote for him. He's asking for some votes, and I think it's a very worthy cause. He's an absolute icon and legend. So if you could spell his name.
Check out his T-shirts too. He's got some cool T-shirts of him shooting the Dracula ring.
Very, very cool. Okay.
So, I heard that. So this is by the DaiMajin Picture Company, the same company that did the Gamera films. And again, this is the mid-60s. It's 1966. All of these were shot side by side with different casts and different directors, all financed by one company. And boom, they knocked it out. And they released them all in the same year too, a couple months apart. So the first one is just DaiMajin, Monster of Terror. In some cases shortened to DaiMajin. In America, just Majin. So there it is. So we start out with the king of this area, or the guy that leads this area, and his kids, the princess and the prince. They're scared because there's a thunderstorm, and they think it's Majin. They think it's DaiMajin. And most of these films start out this way. The people are worried about DaiMajin getting free. This one actually had credits on it, so you'll see some of the credits in some cases. He assures his children, DaiMajin is safe. You're safe from DaiMajin. He loves us in this place, and nothing bad is going to happen. That guy there, he takes care of the prince. He's a hero in this movie. Here's the thing. They took these movies. They wanted to do like a giant monster film, but they also wanted to do like a samurai warrior film. So there's a lot of swordplay and samurai action going on in these things. And that's the first, hour. And then the last 20 minutes or so, it's DaiMajin raining terror on the bad guys for all the bad stuff that they've done to the people in the movie. So here we go. So there's the princess. And what they don't know, there's a little ceremony that they do every year to keep DaiMajin happy, keep him, at bay. And the woman who runs the ceremony, the priestess, is she's a bad old broad, as we say back in the old days. She's a tough old broad, I should say. So keep moving forward. There she is. She's kind of got gnarly brown teeth. You can't see it here. And here's the bad guys. They're getting ready to take over. They're getting ready to take over the king's. It's his own. Like chancellor, who's going to take over the whole area, and that's his flunky there, the big dude. So yeah, nobody's going to be able to run from us. We'll be able to destroy the whole family. Kogenta is the name of the guy that takes care of the kids, and he has to flee. He has to get away with the kids before they get harmed. That's the prince and the princess, So they run away as the castle's being attacked. They run away to where DaiMajin's statue is up in the mountain, and nobody's supposed to go up there, because they don't want to, they don't want DaiMajin to be angry and come out. So this is 10 years later. The princess is now about 16, and the brother is about 18. The prince. They've been hunting, and there's Kogenta, and what they don't know is that the town is now just they're all a bunch of slaves building a new palace for the new guy, who's actually an old guy now because it's 10 years later. So they've been building this place for 10 years. And wait till DaiMajin gets loose. He's gonna tear that place all apart, all to pieces. So yeah, they're not happy. If you're a strong guy, you're gonna be working on the palace. So the young prince wants to help his people. He wants to go down there, but Kogenta says, if you go down there and you get hurt, that's it. All the hopes of those people are dashed. So Kogenta goes down, dressed as a farmer. and he gets recognized right away, and he gets caught. So they torture him to try to get him to tell them where the princess and prince are. He won't tell. They hang him up. They string him up. Go back a second there. So the prince comes down. They won't recognize him because he was a kid when he left. And he sees Kogenta all strung up there, and he says, "At night, I'm going to free you. I'll come. Meanwhile, there's a little kid from town whose mother died. His father couldn't even get away from building the palace to go to the mother's funeral. He goes up to the mountain. You know, he's not afraid of DaiMajin, and that's where he meets the princess. And again, they build this little group of people who are, you know, like rebels, freedom fighters. So he goes to the prince goes to cut down Kogenta, and that's the warlord captures him too. Now the priestess, who is Kogenta's aunt, she goes to the main guy. That's the main guy there on the right. He's the guy that took over, and she tells him, "Hey, if you keep doing what you're doing, DaiMajin's going to come down. He's going to stop you." And so he kills her. And she dies defiantly. She spits in his face, basically, tells him, "Oh, that's it. DaiMajin is going to come down. He's going to rain fire on you. It's going to be terrible." So the princess also gets caught, and they decide that they're going to destroy the statue. So the first thing you do is they try to put a chisel. They try to chisel a big old thing in his head on the statue. Now, this was very common for the Japanese to do this. If you had statues of warriors in the past, the Japanese will decapitate the statue. They'll cut its arms off if it has a sword or a weapon. And I remember going to a Korean museum, and they had on the front lawn, they had all these statues that were beheaded with the head in front of them, and the arms had been taken off. And that's because that's what the Japanese did when they raided places. So she gets away from them, and the earth swallows them up as they try to defile the statue. And the statue, she prays to the statue to help her people, and it comes like, and every movie it does this thing where it puts his arms in front of his face, and it changes from that happy face, that good face, into George C. Scott. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. He looks like George C. Scott. And before he did Patton, which was 1971, which was 5 years later. So DaiMajin looks like George C. Scott. So here we go. He's on his way to the castle now. Now, Kogenta and the prince, they've been strung up. They're going to be pierced with spears. They're going to be, they're being crucified, basically. So all of a sudden the sky goes dark, and up walks DaiMajin. And they're all like freaking out. Hey, this guy's 5 times our size. And he starts just immediately walking through stuff, tearing down stuff. Because that's what he does. Now, these guys are like, okay, shoot at him. And they shoot at him. And of course, that just bounces off of him. It doesn't have any effect on him. And he just keeps moving forward. Those footsteps, boom, 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 boom. And they try to chain him up. They do this in a couple of the movies. Again, it never works. Again, shooting him doesn't work. Trying to chain him up doesn't work. He's too strong. He just pulls everything down. He uses those chains to pull houses down. Then they try to put wagons with hay bales that are set on fire around him. And he just, pushes his arms to both sides, and the flames part for him. He's got godlike powers. So they're like, so get in the fort, get in the palace. These people have been working on this place for 10 years. It's got to be strong, right? So they go inside, shut the gate. Nah. And once inside, DaiMajin. I'm thinking my Aunt Imogene now. DaiMajin, this guy looks out the window and he sees one of his right-hand men getting crushed into a wall by DaiMajin's hand. He doesn't realize the other hand's coming around to get him. There it is behind him. It's kind of a bluish, grayish thing. And it grabs him. And they're watching the prince and the princess. They've been rescued, and Kogenta, and he takes him up to a piece of the building that looks like a cross now, one of the demolished buildings, and he pins him up there with his hand so he can't move. And guess what he's going to do? He's going to take that spike out of his head that they put in his head, and he's going to pin the guy like a butterfly to, to the actual wood there. And that's what he does. And that's the end of that warlord. Or land baron, whatever you want to call him. So she goes up, the princess goes up to him, and she's like, "Oh, please, don't do this, don't do any more, don't hurt these people. You've done what you needed to do." And he looks down at her like, "What? You summoned me? Don't you want me to?" And then she cries, and a teardrop falls on him. This is how she brings him to life, by the way. A teardrop falls and brings him to life. So he does the thing again with his face. It turns it into the happy face guy. He doesn't look like George C. Scott anymore. And he just crumbles there in the square, in the middle of the palace there that they built. Our house in the middle of our street, our house. The music for this is done by Akira Ifukube, who does a lot of the Godzilla music. And very haunting themes, very similar to other work he did at that time, 65, 66. He did Frankenstein Conquers the World, which we still have to do on the show yet. Nick Adams. And he also did War of the Gargantuas, the sequel to it. And a lot of the themes here sound very similar. So this is Return of Majin now, the second one. And again, when you see people, it's very funny. The characters are very, you spot them right away. Oh, okay, that's the bad guy. Oh, okay, that's the guy that helps out who's a good guy. The characters, just like in, Japanese theater, when you go to a live show, they're very broad characters, and you can recognize them right away. And again, that's Return of Majin. So now we already see in the very beginning of the film, people getting corralled by warriors with spears and samurai swords and stuff, and they're trying to get away. They know what's happening, that the warlords are taking over their area, making them work. There's another one of those flunky guys, the thugs that works for the big bad guy, the boss man. So he's like a second or third in command. And I love it when bad guys laugh like this. They just throw their head up to the ceiling. We're taking over the area. I love when they do that. That is so fun. You got to laugh like that when you're evil, when you're a villain, They're having a big ceremony. This is a very peaceful place. And there is again, a princess and a prince. Actually, I think she's more of a priestess and he's a prince. But he likes her, you can tell. These three guys come in. They're from the bad guy group. You can tell, just by looking at them. They look happy and they're smiling and they're trying to be friendly, but you can just look at them and go, okay, these are bad guys. They bring gifts for the prince. And, bales of hay and vegetables and all this on a cart. And he's like, well, thank you for your kind gift. Thank you very much. And they say, we're from blah, 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 blah. And he has, he takes the gift. Then a party of these people, including the priestess, goes out to an island, which has the statue of DaiMajin. And it's the same statue. It's just in a different place now. It's on an island. So they go out there in a boat, nice long boat, to do a little nice ceremony with DaiMajin, make sure he's happy and, and keeps them safe. And everybody's shocked when they get down to pray, his face turns red, which is warning them that something terrible is going to happen soon. Either that or his fly is open. I don't know. He might be embarrassed because his fly is open. Again, I don't know. With a statue that moves like that, he might have left his fly open. This is the little kid. Again, each one of these movies has a kid in it. And the last one, it's all about the kids. That one's like Home Alone for DaiMajin. So, all right. So they're very shocked and surprised. And meanwhile, as that's going on, they're taking over. These guys are already taken over. They're battled. They're saddled up. They're dressed for war. They've got their body armor on. And meanwhile, inside, yeah, it's the old Trojan horse thing. Inside those bales of hay, there's three guys, and they cut themselves out of those bales of hay, and they open the gate. They get their samurai swords, which are also hidden underneath some of the goods. They should have checked, but they weren't expecting to be raided, and they open the gate for the other guys to come in. And again, a lot of these movies, and I've left a lot of slides out here, is samurai sword fighting. Okay, so if you like that kind of thing and you like big monsters, hey, this is just your cup of tea if you can find them. You might be able to find them. The second two, definitely. The first one is very hard to find, actually. That's why the pictures in the first part of the timeline were a little grainy, because that was from a VHS copy that I had from a long time ago. Anyway, so they're fighting, and the king gets killed, and he curses them, and or it's the chancellor. I guess it's the chancellor gets killed. The king, they put the king in the prison, and then they go out to the island and decide to blow up the statue again. This is a thing. Hey, we're gonna destroy your idol and just make you lose all hope. And yeah, they blow his head off. The head falls in the water there. Little peach noise for you. And the prince actually got away, and he's actually going to where the island is, and some of the other guys, the bad guys, come after him in their boat, but then the water just kind of goes up around the boat and sinks it. So obviously DaiMajin is in the water now, and he is his power is used to destroy their boat. Now, okay, I'm cutting to the chase here, okay, because I gotta make these stories short because there's three of them. Okay, everybody gets caught. That usually happens by the end of the film. That's another thing that happens in all these movies. Everybody usually gets caught. The priestess is also tied up. She's going to be burned on the cross, and you're the bad guy, and he's laughing, very defiantly laughing. Well, let's see. We'll see what happens to your god now. We've blown him up, and the guy over his shoulder is his right hand commander, and they're going to burn her. And meanwhile, the prince and everybody else, they're all tied up on these posts there next to her, and they're going to be burned, I guess, or shot or something. And she cries, and when she cries, DaiMajin wakes up in the DaiMajin. Majin. He wakes up in the water, does the face thing again, but he's George C. Scott. Here he comes. And he actually parts the water between the island and the palace, and walks with those footsteps towards where they are. And again, he's going to make things. Again, the sky goes dark. He's going to make things really bad for the bad guys. So they shoot at him again. They never learn. Let's shoot at him. That'll make muskets. That'll do it. They shoot at him. It just bounces off. I wish what they had done in this film, or in any of these films, was have some of those ricocheted bullets hit some of the bad guys, like right in the head. That would have been cool. He's showing how futile and silly that was. But he keeps coming. He keeps coming after the bad guy. And, of course, they retreat to the palace. That'll stop him. Our big walls will stop him. No. He goes right through them. So what do you think they do next? They try to chain him again. Yeah. They latch onto the hooks, and they try to chain him on his legs and on his arms, around his neck. And, he won't have it. He's just going to pull these guys right off the roof. And then he's going to pull the roofs down on all these houses. There they go. Whoa. These guys think they can stop him. No, it ain't going to happen. Sorry. We are talking divine intervention. These guys still are cocky. Oh, we'll blow him up. That's what we'll do. They decide they're going to blow him up with explosives. Okay. They tried that once before. And it didn't work. He came back. So they put box of explosives down in a place where they know he's got to walk to get to them. And then they use flaming arrows to start, and of course the prince and everybody, the villagers have let everybody go now because the soldiers are dealing with Majin, so they're not looking. So they're watching the whole thing, popcorn. And again, they shoot the boxes with the arrows, the flaming arrows. DaiMajin just keeps coming, and boom, up it goes. So they're sure they've blown him up. And here we are about to have the scene that's in our opening credit where well, actually not this one. They're laughing. We beat him. And then we get the reaction. When they see that DaiMajin isn't even scratched. Their explosives didn't even dent him. There it is. That's in our opening credits. Didn't even dent him. He just keeps on coming. Japanese actors never did that move. That was a Curly from the Three Stooges. So he picks up a big old boulder and he throws it and it squashes the general. There goes the second in command. Just a stain and a samurai sword. So now the main villain thinks this isn't going so well. It's not looking good for me at this point. I love that look. They all realize in the end that nothing's gonna work. So yeah, he comes after him, DaiMajin. We're making good time, by the way. He decides to jump in a boat. He's gonna get away in a boat. Smart move, actually. But DaiMajin watches him intently as he rows like a madman out into the water, away from the village, away from the township. And here's an interesting thing. DaiMajin, do you know how some kids used to light their farts? DaiMajin shoots a fart that actually goes across the top of the water. It comes right through his legs. And it goes right across the water, glides across the top of the water to the guy's boat. And this is how he does the guy in. The boat catches fire. Now, logic would tell you jump in the water, but I guess the guy thought, hey, that fire just came across the water. If I jump into the water, he's going to just turn the water into fire, I guess. He goes up the mast, trying to save himself from the fire. Maybe he can capsize the boat and swim away. I don't know. But he gets caught up in the ropes on the mast. So now he's tied up there just like the people was trying to crucify. And again, in these movies, it's kind of an eye for an eye thing. Whatever they're doing to the town people, that's kind of what DaiMajin does to these guys at the end of the film. So he gets wrapped up in the ropes there. And of course, the fire just sets him up. He goes up. He goes up fast, like a trailer park in a tornado. So we get the reaction shots of all the people showing that they are human, even though he was a very bad man. Wow. That was a kind of a cruel way to go. And DaiMajin turns to them. And again, she's like, please, please, no more. Don't hurt the people. Your job is done. You've done what you're supposed to. And she cries. Again, familiar themes in these movies. There's the tear. This time, the tear actually falls on her hand, then rolls off the side of her hand, then down the hand and into the water. So George C. Scott does the thing again. And he turns back into the original DaiMajin, and then he just kind of disintegrates into the water. He becomes water and just kind of puddles into it. And that's it. That's the second movie. Are you amazed that we just got through 2 movies in like 20 minutes? Again, for the monster part of this, I mean, there's a lot more to these films as far as the human story and the samurai sword fighting and all in the first hour of these movies. So I kind of breeze through that so we can get to the monster part at the end, which is what this show is about. It's more about monsters.
Well, it's
but again,
also good. It's also good because we have a lot from the cadets, and so we might want to go over some of their comments. General,
sure.
Pan said the princess needs to stop crying. She was a big baby. LOL. Hilarious.
She's 16. These people are dying.
That's right. Fred Bowman said something chaos theory. And he also said, samurais and farts. The movie has it all, which is true. It really did.
It's true. They have it all.
And then
he lit a fart for crying out loud.
Lit farts.
And it glided across the water. You got to love that. He looks like George C. Scott.
It's phenomenal. I love watching you drink from that gnome. It's just hilarious. I love it.
Like I'm sucking his brain out.
Yeah, it's very big monster-esque. And then Julio Cadet Morales said he rose on the third day. Okay, anyways, hold on. I'm trying to get through these because I got to go to
Was that an advertisement?
No, it wasn't. All right, so let's go back to the beginning. Because of the tech gremlins, I can't do them concurrently. That's cadets. That's why. Okay. That's why your comments haven't been going. Just so the cadets know, I'm not trying to ignore them. I'm going to go back to the beginning. And can you see them, General, on the screen? Are you able to read them?
They're very small. Going down, dressed as a farmer.
As a farmer.
Oh, he's talking about the first movie. Yeah, he went down with the farmer outfit on, and I mean the guy spots him right away. Says, we haven't seen each other in a while. Even after 10 years, the guy's like, we haven't seen each other in a while, have we?
Yeah.
So, again, it's like these. Every time these people, get close to the town, they get caught.
Exactly.
Sometimes they get away, and then they get caught again.
That's very true. Very true. Pan said, "Off with his head."
Hilarious. Off with his head.
Cadet Morales, of course, has the Irish, the 4-leaf clovers.
It's strange, but when Majin changes, DaiMajin changes, his skin color becomes green, his face becomes green, his hands become green. I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if he's got a little leprechaun in him, or I'm not sure.
It might be. It could be. Cadet Morales also says a good plan violently executed. Now better than a perfect plan next week. Patton. Oh, okay. It's a General Patton. It's a quote.
It's a Patton quote. Again, that movie came 5 years after this one. So, not sure where the connection is, but he does look like George C. Scott to me.
Exactly. Some Facebook users said not as cuddly as Majin Buu.
I don't know what that is.
Princess needs to become a badass. Yes, I agree.
Let me tell you something. We're talking about 1960s Japanese culture here. These women are actually very strong characters. That priestess in the first movie, oh my God, she was a badass. Take my word for it. She spit in these guys' faces and said, you better watch your ass. And she died defiantly too. And they didn't do that in that culture back in the 60s. The women were supposed to walk behind the men, they were supposed to be demure. So this is actually kind of interesting in the fact that the women are strong characters in these movies. They spend a lot of time crying and praying, but they're strong characters. I mean, you remember them.
That's right. That's very true. And Cadet Morales corrected the typos for the Patton quote. A good plan violently executed today is better than a perfect plan next week. Okay. I like that. I understand that. It's a very wise,
I'll drink to that.
Sounds like a Sun Tzu Art of War type thing. But yes, and I trust the general. And Cadet Morales follows up by saying the object of war is not to die for your country, but to make the other bastard die for his. That's absolutely.
That's another quote from Patton. We're doing a lot of Patton quotes.
Well,
Majin's gonna come in for you, and he's gonna go through you like crap through a goose. When you find your friend's face in a pile of goo, it's because you pissed off DaiMajin.
That's right. And a little bit more of the.
That's my paraphrasing.
That's some paraphrasing and some gnome brain suckage. Cadet Morales.
I didn't realize that when I drink from this, you see the bottom ass of his feet.
I feel like we're really quite exploiting this gnome. He's being exploited. You know,
he's an exploited gnome
from top to bottom.
A lot of clips from this show are going in the best of.
This is all going in the best of, people.
Good stuff.
That's never happened on Howitzer before, and I totally wasn't involved in it. That's right. Cadet Morales would have never been involved with any boobage, any illicit boobage on this show. So you have nothing. Yes, that's right. No liability.
There's no illicit boobage in these movies. These are like camera movies. They're for kids. Yeah. Well, actually, they're very violent movies for kids.
Yeah, these are too violent.
You know, the guys. Where do you see what happens to the bad guy at the end of this one? This next one.
Oh goodness! Oh,
it's extremely violent.
Oh boy. Okay, so Cadet Morales clarifies that Majin is from Dragon Ball. I guess it's Dragon Ball Z, probably. Majin.
Oh, okay. Well, it's probably a nod to this, actually. Now, again, DaiMajin is a golem statue, but he is in the form of a samurai warrior, which is really kind of strange. You know, you don't think of samurai warriors when you think, you know, religion and gods and stuff. So the third one is called The Wrath of Majin, or DaiMajin, not Imajin. And it starts with a whole bunch of stuff happening to this area, like Mother Nature stuff, bad stuff, like earthquakes and flash floods and storms and things that are tearing people's houses up. And we're seeing little things of DaiMajin, like his shadow. We're seeing his hand, like making a fist, you know, and the people are scared. They're praying to him. Hey, please don't be angry with us. Don't do things with us. And that's like the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's just nothing but destruction of this poor area. So worse than anything, it's happened to these people with these warlords. So they're very afraid of DaiMajin. And rightfully so. So then we see some kids. Again, this one is the kids' movie. But again, very violent deaths in this movie. But you know, the kids are the main stars of this movie. Their fathers have disappeared. They've been kidnapped, and they've been forced to work in a sulfur plant by a war. You know. I keep calling them warlords, but they're really more like land baron kind of guys. So here are two of these kids. They're doing the work because their fathers were not there on the farms in this poor village. They're wondering what happened to their fathers. And then one of the fathers that's disappeared comes back to the town. He's been going through the jungles, going over the mountains to get away from these people that kidnapped him. And he falls in front of these kids, and they take him into a hut where a doctor can look at him, where somebody can take care of him. And, you know, this next slide, if a guy is like really sick, if he's dying, you don't invite the whole goddamn neighborhood into the room, okay? You shouldn't do that. But everybody's interested. They want to know what the hell's going on. So this poor guy is on a bed, and he's surrounded by people, and he's just trying to tell them what happened. They kidnapped me. They forced me to work as a slave in these phosphorus sulfur mines and sulfur pit, and they're terrible, and all your fathers are there, and you know, I'm sorry, and I just tried to get back and tell you people about this, and then he dies. He might have made it. You know, if they just let him rest for a little bit, you know, with just the doctor or whoever was taking care of him. So anyway, the kids decide, hey, we're going to go get our fathers. We're going to go help our dads out. And 3 of them. And they go back to their places. They get some food and stuff. And there's a 4th little kid. He's a little runt kid. He's kind of keeping his eye on this one as he's packing up the food. He wants to come too. There he is. Now, this little kid, he's got to be 5 if he's, they're like 10 years old. Maybe he's 7. They're like 10, 11 years old. This little kid is a badass in this movie. He's smart. And he's a badass. He's really good with a bow and arrow. He can shoot the hell out of a bow and arrow now. Okay, so anyway, they leave him behind. They said, no, you can't go. You're too young. You're a runt. We're not taking you with him. And then we come to the sulfur plant where they have these sulfur pits. And they've used all these poor guys to pull the sulfur out of the sulfur pit. And, cheap labor. And they just work them to death. They show one guy falling down. The other guy tries to help him. He says, he's not going to live long. Leave him alone. Here they are. These are the two bad guys right here. Of course, the fat one is the lieutenant. He's the general. He's the second command. And they know that one of the guys got away, and he got chastised for that. Here's a couple of the fathers here. The boys that are coming to get them are the kids of these guys, I think. Pretty sure. And they're watching. They're watching as the head of the place is talking to his lieutenant. The kids meet up with an old lady on their way. First, they're going to go to the DaiMajin to pray, and then they're going to go across the mountain to where their fathers are. Because the guy said, yeah, it's over the mountain. It's, past DaiMajin, blah, 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 blah. So she's trying to tell him, no, don't go up there. Don't go to DaiMajin. And, you kids got to go home where it's safe. You don't want to go forward. And she's just a short distraction. Filler. These movies are about an hour. They're under an hour and a half. The second one was only like an hour and 18 minutes. So there's a lot of character filler and sword play filler. And in this one, it's all about the adventure of the kids going across the mountains. So they find out that the little kid has been following them the whole time. It's been hours. This little kid's been following them. And he's just determined to come with them. So they said, all right, since you made it this far, okay, you can come with us. There he is with his jacket over his head. Smart kid. So they move on. They move into the mountains, and they are befriended by a hawk, or a falcon, if you will. And they think it's DaiMajin. And they get to his statue, and they pray. They do their thing. They help our fathers, keep our fathers alive until we can get to them, and keep us safe as we travel towards. And then there's these guys. These guys are actually looking for the father that got away, and they're in the woods, and they bump into these kids all the time. And it's like you couldn't make this guy more like Joe Pesci. I mean, it's Home Alone all over again. Oh, these kids. And they come to a place where they have to cross over a tree, over a ravine, over a river. And this kid shoots the hell out of him with a bow and arrow set. And then they're able to get the tree over so that the guys can't cross. But he gets about 3 good arrows off on these guys. And it's in their calf, it's in their butt. It's, pretty funny. And he's happy about it. Look how happy that kid is. I just shot him in the calf. So, hell of a kid. All right, so back at the sulfur pits, one of the guys who tried to escape, he gets kicked into the sulfur pit. One of the fathers dies. And the others are very upset about it. And they're yelling and screaming about it. And one of the other guys dies. One of the other fathers. And they lose one of the kids. They build a raft and it breaks apart on a rock. And they lose one of the kids down the river. And then it starts snowing. So, I mean, it's just one thing after another for these poor kids. They just can't get a break. And they're just trying to get to their fathers. And the snow starts to get worse and worse. And they keep bumping into these 3 knuckleheads that are, looking for them. There's where another father gets it with a samurai sword. The main guy kills him with his samurai sword. I'm about to run out of peach tea. That's another good thing I like about this mug is that I can put a whole 20 ounces of peach tea in here. but makes me drink it faster. Now, this kid can't get the other two boys awake. They've been walking a long time and they're tired, so they fall down in the snow. He can't wake up. So he prays to DaiMajin, and then he jumps off the cliff and lands in a big, huge pile of snow, fresh snow below. And DaiMajin wakes up, and the two kids wake up, and they see a glowing hole in the snow where their friend went in, and DaiMajin comes up out of the snow with the kid in his hand. So he goes to the village where the sulfur pits are, and they start shooting at him. He puts the kid down, by the way, with his friends. So he heads for the village, which is not far off. They're almost there. And again, they're trying to knock logs, big old logs on top of him. And he just picks them up and throws them back at him. You know, I mean, not a very smart idea. Oh yeah, let's give them weapons to throw at us. So that doesn't stop them, of course. The bullets didn't stop them. They figure, hey, let's go into the castle with the big walls. He won't get through that. You know, no, they never learn. And they shoot cannons at him. Okay, all right, you're getting a little better now with the ideas. But of course, that just bounces off him too. It doesn't even hurt him. They didn't know about the other guys that tried to blow him up with the explosives twice. So he keeps moving forward. Like Walt Disney, he just keeps moving forward. And he just picks up the fence and throws it on him. He just picks up that wall and throws it on him. Go! And he starts tearing houses down. He's angry. You know, you're going to get the wrath of DaiMajin. I think Dai means God, by the way, in Japanese, so that makes sense. God, Majin. The general gets squashed again. He gets stuff thrown on top of him. He bleeds in the snow out of his mouth. The guy that's the head of the whole place, he gets grabbed by DaiMajin. And he takes him over to the sulfur pit, puts him up on the wall, again, just like he did with the other guy in the last film. And he pulls his samurai sword. Oh, my God. It's like 3 films and you haven't even pulled your samurai sword on these guys yet. He is a statue of a samurai. So he pulls the sword out of his scabbard. And guess where it's going to go? Right through the guy. Ah! My goodness me. So if that didn't hurt enough, I mean, he's dead, right? He's got to be dead. You know, a big, huge guy, gigantic sword stuck through him. He pulls the sword out, and he lets the guy drop into the sulfur pit. Though, a fitting end. And the boys show up, and they see their fathers, or what fathers are left. There's very few fathers left for these kids, unfortunately. There's that one of them. That's one of them's father or uncle. I'm not sure. In any case, they got him. And DaiMajin has, has wreaked his vengeance on these guys that had this sulfur plant, and they were enslaving the people. You don't enslave the people. They all pray. The kids pray to DaiMajin to stop and to go back to being a statue. Does the thing again. Does in every movie, both times, when he turns into DaiMajin and when he turns back. And this time he turns into like snow, and a kind of a whirlwind just kind of takes him away. You know, blows the snow into the whole surrounding area there. And that's it. So again, the 3 films are very similar. Again, you get a slightly different story. You know, you get different characters, obviously. In the first 2, you get a lot of sword play. In the last one, it's kind of a kid adventure. Again, very graphic. Surprise! The Falcon. I didn't show the pictures, but the Falcon attacks the 3 guys from the woods and kills all of them. He rakes their faces with his talons. That's pretty bloody and nasty, and he does it in front of the kids. That's not traumatizing. No. Let's say what have we here in the comments before we go? Let's go ahead and
Cadet Morales said, well, a sulfur pit was the only logical choice after everyone farted crucified. Okay.
Yeah.
And Fred said it just adds up.
What adds up?
I'm trying to think here. Okay.
You need to be a little more specific.
Pan said that's not real snow, y'all. That's right.
No, it does look very much like fake snow. It does. I will say that. That's a criticism that I agree with totally.
That's right. And Morales said, has Fred said howitzer noises yet? And I'm not sure that Fred has said that. I think we do need one more howitzer noise. Peach tea.
I would, but I'm out of peach tea.
Oh, that's right. The gnome. He drained the gnome, everyone.
I drained the dead gnome.
He drained the Hazzard, I think that's why.
That's a T-shirt right there.
I drained
the dead gnome.
Oh, mercy.
I drained the decapitated gnome.
Oh, it doesn't sound good.
We go with the funniest sayings on this show.
Does not sit right with me. Something about that does not sit right. So scary.
There it is. We've done a kind of a loose timeline for each of the movies. There's 3 of them in the trilogy. That's all that's been made. They never revived it or rebooted it, as far as I know. And they're interesting. I mean, there have been characters in comic books that are kind of like Majin. They're statues, walking statues that look like samurais, but they don't call them DaiMajin because of copyright, I guess. And he's an interesting character. A lot of people said that he should fight Godzilla, but actually Godzilla's much taller. DaiMajin is like King Kong. He's only like 250 feet tall, whereas Godzilla's up there in the thousands. And again, in the latest King Kong versus Godzilla, they made Kong a lot bigger. He grew a lot for some reason. So he's much bigger. So DaiMajin is not as big as most kaiju.
Okay. Cadet Morales did mention that he thinks Maury Povich should have shown up to say that they're not the father, which I think that's very funny. Every Maury Povich reference is hilarious. I think that's hilarious.
Well, good evening. So yeah, we were talking DaiMajin. Again, these films are not easy to find. I have seen the last 2 in Japanese around the internet. You can find them. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I won't tell you exactly where. But we got nice slides for the timeline for those 2 movies. The first one, a little tougher to find. Again, there was a video series that came out, VHS many years ago, and there is a DVD set available out there of the trilogy. But for some reason, the first movie is not posted on most of the sites that I visit. But the strange thing is there's not a lot of marketing or there's not a lot of toys or things for this character. I mean, they never, Bandai never did a figure, I don't believe, of him. I have to do some more research on that. I don't think there's a lot of merchandise for this kind of thing. But he's an interesting character. And it was an interesting idea for them to shoot these films back to back and make them not just about a giant monster, but also kind of put a lot of the Japanese sword play, Ronin samurai thing going on there, which was very big at the time as well. So I'm sure they made good money at the time when they released them. Took a while for them to get to the US. And again, it was a limited release when it came to the US. Howitzer noises! That's Fred Bowman. How about that? But I was talking about Akira Ifukube, his theme songs for these movies. Very sad, haunting. Let me whistle one. I think I can get away with that. I think or I'll hum it. How's that? Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Wah, wah, wah. That's how it sounds. That's the kind of music that, and again, that's the kind of music that he uses for the monsters in Frankenstein Conquers the World and War of the Gargantuas. It's kind of a sad theme. But there it is. Majin destroys all.
I wanted to remind everyone that No Icing is right next, up next with Drita.
Yep.
And Sandy D is going to be our special guest. So please tune in. Aunt D is there with Sandy D. Yes. Yeah. And so there's a D and a D.
Two Ds.
I think
double D.
2D. It's going to be very exciting. I mean, Aunt D doesn't do a lot of, it's very special because she doesn't do a lot of interviews. So it's like really exciting. And I'm looking forward. I'm very looking forward to that. I do want to read some more comments the last couple minutes that we have because I think some of these are really funny. Cadet Morales said, the last time I drained a gnome, it cost me $500. I think that's great.
Because you can do that in New York.
You can do that it's legal in New York now. And Cadet Bowman.
The cosplay thing.
Said he drained the dead gnome is what the kids in the community are calling it these days. I think that's hilarious. We need to have a merch thing.
Watching some porn and draining the dead gnome.
And of course, Japanese sword play. Bowman picked up on Japanese sword play. It's a lot of gross stuff going on here. Cadet Morales said double D, just
that's
like
called draining the dead gnome.
Oh my goodness! Oh,
a lot of Japanese sword play there.
We started off with Tech Gremlins and the Tookus, and we ended up with Draining the Dead Gnome, and that's it. That's your show, people. That's your show. That's what we do. We aim to please. That's why we're here.
That's it. We are not afraid to go down in the gutter.
We are not afraid. We'll go as deep and dirty as we have to just to drive home the message to the cadets for mnemonic devices that they can recall, because this is very important work to protect us from big monsters. We're the last defense, so whatever works.
Julio, it's not a dumpster fire. Come on. It can't get worse than a fart fire that flies across the water to your boat, you know.
We love it. We love it.
We did that already. All right, keep an eye out for those big monsters, folks.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, Major Hazzard.
Thank you.